All right, here on the Market Day Report, let's get you up to date on all of the market numbers. And it's been a pretty quiet day so far in the grain trade. In fact, we've been on both sides of unchanged in some of these commodities. Let's take a look now at these prices. And corn right now is still kind of trending weak to lower and starting to accelerate some of the losses that we had earlier. Now, earlier we were about anywhere from a quarter to a half a penny lower. Now we've reached that 1 cent lower on the nearby December, down 1.349. July corn down 1 at 378 3/4. Over to the soybean market we go, and here we're just fractionally higher. November soybeans up a half a penny. It's 972 3/4. January beans up a half at 983. And now let's bring in Jim McCormick with Allendale Incorporated. Jim, this grain market is very, very quiet so far.
Yes, it is, John. It's very quiet. We have this big USDA report coming out on Thursday. And I think a lot of participants are just kind of in that wait-and-see mode to see what that number is. But, the fact is, I don't even know if that's going to get us too excited. I mean, the trade's only looking for a few tenths change in the yield. So we may be in kind of a quiet time till we get through harvest, actually.
Speaking of harvest, you mentioned that you'd had an opportunity to do a little bit of traveling over the weekend. Have you seen a whole lot of harvest activity taking place where you were at?
Yeah, just kind of give the viewers where I was at. I live northwest of Chicago, and I drove down to about an hour south of Indianapolis in a town called Seymour. And in general, you'd say a lot of the beans were being harvested. There wasn't a whole lot of corn being picked right now. It seemed like the guys, at least along I-65, were concentrating on getting the beans cut.
Interesting. Any yield reports that you've been hearing? When you talk to the trade or you talk to a few independent producers, they say some of this has come in better than what they had expected. And it's interesting, a lot of these private estimates have all started to slowly come up to where USDA has been talking about these yields all along.
And that's pretty much what we're hearing. I think definitely the theme this year is maybe a little bit better than what the trade was thinking. I mean, the crop ratings were lagging all year long, and as the harvest results have come in, they're definitely better than people thought, I would say. But maybe, the other line is it's not as good as last year, and that's kind of where the trade's at. I mean, you look at the corn yield, we're about 170 is the average guess. About 4 bushels lower than a year ago. Beans are right here at 50 is the average guess, just a couple lower than a year ago. So I think the trade and farmers are in the USDA are kind of lining up in a line right now and agreeing a 170 corn yield and a 50 bushel bean yield.
All right, let's talk about the other commodity, which is wheat. And we'll look at the numbers here and give you an idea of where we're standing so far. Right now, Chicago wheat on the December contract down 6 3/4 at 436 3/4. July wheat down 5 1/2, 485. December Kansas City wheat is right now down 5 3/4 at 431. July down 6 1/4 at 480 1/2. On over to Minneapolis wheat. And here we're lower also. December Minneapolis wheat down 2 1/4, 621 1/2. July Minneapolis wheat down 2 1/2 at 644 3/4. Jim, this wheat market very, very quiet and just drifting lower. There's really nothing here to hold this market in firm ground, is there?
Yeah, that's exactly it. There's just there's a plentiful supply of it. Actually the Midwest has been a little bit dry. Parts of southern Illinois, southern Indiana have been a little bit dry. They got some pretty good rains over the weekend here in certain parts of it, and that's going to allow them to get some get the wheat planted for the soft red wheat. So that's put a little bit of pressure on it. Also, there's a lot of people are talking about the seasonal trades right now. It looks like you buy the May beans, sell the May wheat, buy the May corn. Buy the May beans, sell the May corn. Those seasonal spreads are kicking in, and that also, I think, is kind of pressuring today. You got corn down, wheat down, and beans up, as maybe some guys are entering those seasonal trades.
All right, Jim McCormick here with us with Allendale Incorporated. Let's take a real quick break, and then when we come back, we'll get you up to date on the livestock trade and those cutout numbers. That's all straight ahead here on the Market Day Report. And Jim McCormick with Allendale Incorporated at McHenry, Illinois, rejoins us now. This cattle market, very interesting today. Last week we had a lot of optimism. We went into late Friday for a trade, and some of the numbers that I saw were actually steady to higher for cash cattle trade. And then the futures took off this morning, but seemed to just run short of fuel here about mid-session. Why is that, and what do you think is behind all of this?
Well, I think part of it was, like you said, the market kind of rallied late Friday. They guessed the Packers would bid up. They did bid up, pushed that cattle up to 109 plus. And now we've got cattle trading at, you got the October cattle, which is in delivery, which is trading at about a 111.50. So it's already trading some of the premium in it. And then technically, if you look at, I think some of what stalled today's move out was the technicals. The December cattle back on September 22nd topped out at the 117.72 level. Today's highs was 117.57. So they kind of hit some technical resistance. That stalled it out. And, to get through that, we may have to see another higher cash trade this week. And, it may take till the end of the week before we see that happen.
Well, nonetheless, we're going to have to keep a sharp eye on this show list, see how many are left on that, because I'm hearing rumblings, and I haven't been able to confirm any of these rumors yet, but the rumors is that we're starting to run a little bit short on supply of cattle.
That is the rumors. I mean, you go back and forth. I mean, for months now, they kept saying we're going to get this wall of cattle coming at us. We move into this quarter, and so far, maybe it hasn't seen it yet because, like I said, the Packers are bidding up for it. But you look at where the box beef's trading at; they have the money to pay up if they want to.
Right. Right now, October live cattle up 48 at 111.50. December live cattle up 18 at 117.10. For the feeder cattle market today, this is an interesting market. It's October down 10, 153.85. January feeder cattle, however, up 2 at 153.72. March feeders up 13 at 151.78. Let's check that beef cutout here at midday. We've got the midday numbers have been released, and right now we've got the choice up 52 cents, 197.74. The selects down 28 at 186.95. Jim, this beef trade out the back door, the processed version. Exports seem to be strong. We seem to be continuing good consumer demand here.
That is right, and export's good. Consumer demand's good. I think consumer optimism continues to gain. Look at the stock market. We're up again another 23 points on the Dow futures today. So the consumer is out spending money. It looks like you said on that travel. I can tell you, traveling to Indiana back, the roads were packed both ways. So I think people are moving. They're confident. They're spending money, and that's good for the demand for beef in the long run.
Good point. Let's look at the pork cutouts as we've got time here. Pork cutouts out just a little bit ago, and they were mostly higher. Carcasses up 46, loins up 14. The hams were off 33, but the belly's up $1.78 at 92.52. If we look at the lean hog futures themselves, now this market also kind of just showing signs of mixed. October down 3, 59.15, but the December, the deferred there, up 20 at 61.12. Same thing here, do you think, Jim? You think consumers are turning to pork for pork month?
I think that's what they're hoping to. I mean, you see a lot of advertising dollars trying to push a pork month. That is what we want to see. But, I mean, it's going to be a battle between demand and supply because right now the kill should continue to increase all the way through this month. So, we'll see if the demand will show up. But right now the markets are definitely pushing it, at least the advertising end.
Sure. Jim McCormick, Allendale Incorporated. He is the senior trading advisor there. And, Jim, thank you very much for the analysis and the time.
Thank you for having me on. Have a good day.
You bet, Jim. Thank you. Have a good day as well. And as he mentioned just a moment ago, Dow up 23. So we'll see if it's going to take another run at 23,000.
See what the rest of the day has in store. Thank you very much, John.